Okay, here we go. We're up.
All right. Well, our next big task then was getting to Cleveland for me to complete my residency and begin and hopefully complete my residency in internal medicine, a 2-year obligation. And Ardith had made arrangements to teach at a school. What level were you teaching?
High school.
High school, right?
9 through 12.
9 through 12 Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so after our reunion and meeting up with family, both Ardith's and mine, we then drove our Jeep to Cleveland. We got to Cleveland, and I think my aunt and uncle had found an apartment for us, which was really a half of a duplex house. We had that then with a garage and a fireplace. It was quite comfortable little place in Cleveland Heights, I think, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I had been in Bolivia, remember I was now 3 years out from my internship, and that created some concern for me. That's a long time to be away from that kind of environment and then suddenly jump back in it. And I had that reactive depression during the first quarter of my internship, and I was concerned about it perhaps being repeated. So you may remember that Dr. Thomas Daniel was a consultant for us in Bolivia about tuberculosis. He was a professor at Case Western Reserve University, who worked at university hospitals, and he was the person who was in charge of the internal medicine residency at the time. So when he was in Bolivia, I talked to him about this and said, I'm going to be a year late. And he said, no problem. You'll just make that change, and they'd expect me a year later. But then I also told him that I was a little concerned about repeating that reactive depression, and I told him all about that. His response was that he didn't think that these things tended to repeat themselves, but what he would do is arrange the schedule so that I would start with 3 months of psychiatry. That was an easier rotation because it meant you were on at night only about every 4th or 5th day rather than every other day. And of course, it wasn't quite as intense clinically. We're still, every patient in the hospital, in the psychiatric hospital there, received a full medical exam when they came in, and so I was certainly involved in doing that. But then the rest of the time we'd be dealing with psychiatric issues. That worked fairly well. It was a nice way to transition, got me back into whites, got me back into spending nights at the hospital, but only, as I said, every 4th to 5th night. After that, then my rotations went back to the usual stuff. So I was on a male ward for 3 months, a female ward for 3 months, and then working in the emergency room. And that all worked out well. I had no repeat of the reactive depression. I did fairly well. I actually made a few diagnoses that were unusual there because I'd had experience in a microbially contaminated environment. So when people came in with diarrheal diseases, I was right there. I'd seen a lot of them, and I knew what to do to find out what they had. And that experience went fairly well. We did have to buy a car because we needed a vehicle, right?
We have reset. I'm going to go ahead and reset here.
Recording stopped.